public policy is the backbone of NAWBO, and our public policy director has put together an amazing panel. It wasn't easy. We've got ladies that came from all over, and we're so grateful. I wanted to introduce you to the moderator of the panel, Penny Chiron. Yes, Penny Chiron. She is the president, the League of Women Voters of Arizona. I'm gonna read a quick bio here. She's laughing. She's like, that's not that quick. But Penny's commitment to the League has quite literally spanned generations of her life. She immigrated from India in 1974 to pursue her graduate education at the University of Cincinnati. As a graduate student there, her dedication to the ideals of democracy was recognized by a faculty mentor, and she was urged to join the League of Women Voters, as a student member. Her passion is protecting the freedom to vote. She serves as a designated volunteer lobbyist for the League of Women Voters of Arizona and provides leadership for the League in legislative advocacy and lobbying. Penny has a master's and a doctorate in applied statistics from the University of Cincinnati, and an undergraduate degree in sociology and English from the University of Bangalore, India. She retired as a faculty member of the Maricopa County Community College District in 2006 after 25 years of service. Her time in retirement has been devoted to democracy issues. She was a member of the Mesa Sunrise Rotary and has served as the president twice of that chapter. Also elected to the India Association of Phoenix board member from 2007 to 2010 as secretary and treasurer. Penny and her husband Yogi live in Scottsdale since 1980, where they've raised a son and a daughter and several, I want to know how many, Labrador retrievers. Welcome, Penny.
Thank you so much, President of the National Association of Women Business Owners, Arizona. Well, you are considered what, Phoenix chapter? Yeah, okay. Well, we're the fifth largest city, so you're the fifth largest chapter, right, in the country? All right, okay, you all agree with me on that. Thank you so much. I am delighted to be invited and certainly honored to be here among other women who are fueling our economy, building our infrastructure, growing the next generation, and more importantly, here present to listen to policymakers who are making a difference in our lives. So I'm very excited to be here for that. In very short order, before I get started with introducing the panelists who I know you're eager to hear from, I'd like to tell you just very quickly about the League of Women Voters, where we celebrated our 104th year. Okay, we're 104 years old. How many of you women vote? Please thank the League. The 19th Amendment was passed because of the League of Women Voters. That is our history and our root in democracy and the right for women to vote first, and now for everyone who's eligible to vote. We're also a nonpartisan organization. We don't really promote or support any candidates, and we stand on the issues. Policy issues are what that matter for us. So we don't care who aligns with us. We are nonpartisan, not bipartisan, nonpartisan, and there's a big distinction between that. Having said that, it's apropos that I'm here to introduce the people who make a difference and who write policy for us. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce all of the panelists, and then we have questions to them for them to tell us what they're doing in their space. Mila Bassett, Mayor of Superior. Thank you, Mila, for being here. Mila Bassett is a lifelong resident of Superior, Arizona. How many of you have been to Superior, Arizona? Yay. Mila, they visited your city, bought stuff, ate there, so you know, you're helping that economy. Elected in 2016 as mayor of Superior, she has played a key role in leading her community through the Resolution Copper Environment Impact Statement. How many of you know about the Resolution Copper mining company. Okay. Important to know because it was a pretty controversial situation, and there was an issue of land. And at the same time, you had to balance that Superior depended on jobs in those mining communities. And so, Mila, your leadership on that was very important, very important. While also actively galvanizing and leading collaborative region-wide initiatives to preserve the majestic beauty of our town, the Arizona's Copper Corridor region. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of our beautiful state. Mila's strong and focused leadership, as well as a problem-solving acumen, has been recognized nationally and globally, including U.S. and international media outlets and public officials, Hispanic women, and other organizations. As an actively engaged member of the community and region, Mila has a pulse on rural communities and their needs. She currently serves as vice chair of the Pinal County Regional Transportation Authority, as a member of the executive committee. Wonderful. You must know Robin Pruderbaum then, okay? As a member of the executive committee of the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. How many of you know about this organization, the Arizona Cities? And I would encourage you, because this is all about policy, to get to know that body. Every mayor from every city and vice mayor attends and is a part of that league. And a lot of the issues they collaborate on in a regional capacity. So really important for you all to be aware of that group. Mila is also on the board of directors of the Boyce Thompson Arboretum and Rebuild Superior. She is a Flynn Brown Fellow and a graduate of the Valle de Sol Hispanic Leadership Institute. Mila, thank you for giving us your time. Our next panelist, who I know because we worked hard on a number of important policy issues that impact our state, education, dark money in politics, and a number of those. Sharon Grabowski has lived in Fountain Hills since 2014. Sharon has an entrepreneurial spirit, owning various businesses throughout her career. She and her husband of 34 years now own the Vendor Venue on the Avenue of the Fountains. How many of you know about the Avenue of the Fountains in Fountain Hills? Yay, yay. Wonderful. Sharon is a dedicated community volunteer. She received Volunteer of the Year awards from Fountain Hills Community Services, Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce, and she was also nominated for Volunteer of the Year by Arizona Parks and Recreation Association. Prior to her term on council, which began December 20th, 2020, she was on the Community Services Advisory Commission. Sharon has volunteered at the Community Center Take Over and Back to School Bash, as well as the planning committees for Make a Difference Day and the Fountain at 50 celebration. Thank you, Sharon, for joining us, and it's always wonderful to see you again. Okay. Our next panelist is Councilwoman from Flagstaff, Miranda Sweet. Long way for you to come, so it's so wonderful that you're here. Councilwoman Miranda Sweet is currently serving a 4-year term on the Flagstaff City Council, is a small business owner. Miranda began her political career in 2020 when elected to the Flagstaff City Council. Prior to running for office, Miranda taught elementary education and eventually followed her dream and opened a fashion boutique. Yay! For 23 years, Miranda has owned and operated Rainbow's End in the heart of downtown Flagstaff. Miranda finds joy in following her passion for locally owned business while serving her community. Currently, Miranda serves on council and has various other roles, including serving on the Mountain Line Board. What is that? Well, you'll tell us, right? Yeah, okay. Vice Chair of I knew most of this, but it's like, what is that? Okay. Vice Chair of Metro Plan, Northern Arizona Council of Governments, board member, Northern Arizona Municipal Water Users Association, board member, and a liaison to the Water Commission and the Beautification and Public Arts Commission. In 2023, Miranda was nominated for an Athena Award, and I think most of you should be aware of the Athena Award, and completed her first Ironman. Yay! Why is it still called the Iron Man, right? I don't get that. Miranda loves to mentor young adults in workforce development and works with high school students in fashion and merchandise design. Thank you so much for coming that far, Councilwoman Sweet. Kelly Keffer, who joins us not that far from Mesa, right? Is a project manager with the economic development arm of the city of Mesa. Great to see you, Kelly. Okay. Kelly Keffer is a project manager of the City of Mesa Office of Economic Development, OED. We love, acronyms in government. We really do, I'm telling you. And join in the league. We love acronyms, and half the time I have to get my dictionary out. What does that mean, Team in December 2012. Kelly is responsible for leading the department's small business and entrepreneurship initiatives, Mesa Business Builder and the Mesa HUUB. Okay, digital platform, which is going to talk about for small businesses, managing Launch Point Mesa's business incubator. This would be important for those who want to start small businesses, okay? Managing various attraction, retention, and expansion projects. She works with hundreds of small businesses each year. Great person to have on this panel, providing support, resources, and training on a wide range of topics. Her success managing Launch Point has resulted in more than 40 participating companies in a wide range of technology, medical devices, and advanced materials, creating more than 250 jobs and enhancing the local economy in the region. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being here. Again, a grand applause to the panelists, okay, some of whom come so far. So how we will proceed is we have essentially two main questions to ask the panelists. I will ask question one of the panelists. It is not necessarily the same question, so you should be prepared. I've been moderating many things where you ask the same question of 5 candidates, and the audience is like, oh my God, get on with it, I know you're thinking that, even though you're not saying it, okay? And question two, and then when we are done, we will go into question two. And I have introduced a question to ask all of them because I think it'll make a difference to the work you all do as small business owners. I'm going to ask the candidates to stay within a 5-minute response, if you don't mind, because we want to give the audience a chance to ask some questions too, okay? Mayor Bessich, we are going to start with you. Tell us about how the City of Superior collaborates with Greater Phoenix, the local economic development department and Chamber of Commerce.
One of the things in my bio is that I was actually the first female mayor of Superior, Arizona, and they incorporated in 1976. So I do like to attribute a lot of our most recent success to collaboration, a really amazing town council that supports the work that we're doing. But, for a very small town like Superior, we rely on organizations like our Superior Optimist Club, like our Chamber of Commerce, and then, of course, understanding that we have to make the time to be at the seat at the table in the Metroplex. And I'm sure my friends in Flagstaff will say the same, that we can't just stay in our own communities. We have to be here. We have to network and engage. And one of the things I learned in being my 4th generation native of Superior, my children are 5th, is that we had to present ourselves in a way that we would be ready to accept opportunities, that we had to we had to get our house in order. You can all Google Superior prior to 2016, but We also had to set in motion a set of strategies. So some of our strategy included making sure that our residents pre-K through 20 had educational opportunities, that we were creating outdoor exercise activities, building our trails, not only just to stimulate economic development to diversify our economy, but also to create a thriving and a place that everybody wanted to live. And, you know, embracing families that have been there for multi-generations and making sure that this was still a community that they were going to love and enjoy. One of my proudest accomplishments that we're working on right now is our Superior Multi-Generational Center. And the story behind that became this, we wanted to build something new. We wanted to build something new for our youth. Youth is very important to us in Superior, and I realized very quickly as mayor, I had the opportunity to engage and mentor our youth. So we have a youth council. They've actually helped us with some of our major projects. But COVID came, and our council was like, we're going to build a brand new building. And our town manager quickly told us, you have a $4 million budget. You can't even move ground to develop this. So why don't we renovate the current junior high that we're in? The old junior high that we're in, we'll make this a multi-gen center. But with our multi-gen center, it wasn't just going to be a place for people to work out and have exercise classes and things like that. We wanted to instill more for our workforce. And we worked with Resolution Copper to fund part of this project. We have a lot of federal grants as well. But COVID happened. Our budget to rehab our junior high turned into $18 million. Cities and towns can't just print money. Money doesn't come to us very quickly. It's a challenge. And for a small town like Superior, 3,200 residents, you have even more financial challenges. And there's lots of tax policies in relationship to mining that I hope to continue to pursue and work on that provide some more equitable value. But we turned around and we purchased the original Superior High School. And this building is going to be 100 years old. It's where I graduated from high school. If you've been to Superior, it's the big building up on top of the hill. It's the most stately building in our community. And we are rehabilitating that to become our multi-gen center. But the pivotal part of all this is part of our Superior Enterprise Center is we have a partnership with Seed Spot, which is all about entrepreneurial development. And what we're learning as we develop these programs, and the program that we just opened right now is welding, and a welding skilled job training program. And we want, we want residents of all ages, 18 and over, high school and up, to participate in these programs, women, men, and how many women that are retirees that were upset that the first class was not just to learn how to weld, to do crafting, and build out their business. So we're on a challenge to get that into our next schedule, but we had to get our first 10 students put together, get them into this class. But it takes small baby steps. Each and every project that we're working on, small baby steps. We're moving forward, but our Enterprise Center, what we've learned is we're developing entrepreneurs, the things that our community lacks, especially for women, childcare, family care. This is a very multi-generational community, so we have some infrastructure there. How do we hone in on this that you can have a multi-generational home, take care of our elderly, our legacy residents, as I like to call them? There's some gaps there that we have to bring more services in, but it all takes collaboration, and it has, for a small town like Superior, is to say maybe we can do what a city of Mesa is doing or what another incubator is doing in our community, just scaling it back to our level.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor Grabowski, can you describe the local government of Fountain Hills, the number and administration and description of duties? Highlight the number of women serving in the administration.
First, thank you guys for having me. This is super cool. I used to be a NAWBO member years ago. Pre-council days, I was a NAWBO member, but Lord knows you don't have time for these kinds of things when you have these kinds of gigs. One of the reasons why I chose this question is because we actually have a lot of women in power in Fountain Hills. We operate, as do many of the cities and towns, on a council manager form of government, where our town manager is in charge of day-to-day operations. It's a female. And then the council is in charge of the ugly stuff that nobody wants to do. We make the crappy decisions that you don't want the town staff to make these decisions because that people will bring out their pitchforks and whatever. So it's just the 7 of us that are hated, generally speaking, over the 115 employees. You laugh. Am I serious? I'm serious. Of the 7-member council that we have, 5 of them are actually women, which includes the mayor and the vice mayor. The management team under our female manager, Rachel Goodwin, first of all, notes because I don't have time to memorize this stuff. We have 115 staff, 32 of which are women in the town. And we've got 3 of our 10 department directors are women as well, and that doesn't include the town manager herself. One other thing that I wanted to be sure and mention, we have a separate chamber of commerce from our town. Some cities and towns kind of combine them. We do not. It is separate. But I think it's worthy noting that our entire chamber is women run. When I first came to town, we had a male CEO, which was cool. He was a great guy. But once we got Betsy Lavoie into place, I don't know what happened, but something clicked and she realized that women get shit done. And next thing I know, I go into the chamber and it's all chicks. It's really cool, not only to see the women in power, but to see the differences that these women have made. We bring caring to the table. Just listening to the other business owners that are chamber members, it's phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoy being a woman in power in Fountain Hills. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor Grabowski. Congresswoman Sweet, can you describe your business and share how you manage to be a successful business owner and a council member at the same time?
Thank you, and thank you for having me today. It was a long drive down, but I'm happy to be here. So I think I need to start with my background in my business. So, you know, when I first opened in downtown Flagstaff, I was one of, I think, 2 female-owned small businesses, and it was lonely. It was very lonely. And I had a lot of struggles with being taken seriously, getting invited to the table, and I persevered. And so that brings me to where I'm at today, because also in politics, even though we do have a lot of female politicians and business owners now in Flagstaff, it is a struggle to get elected, to be taken seriously, to be invited to the table, just as it was when I started my business. And I was young when I started Rainbow's End, so I've had a lot of learning experiences with that. So 23 years later, not only do I have my thriving business, but I took that knowledge, I took the perseverance, and I took what all of that meant to me and decided to run for office. And all of the relationships that I built. I think women are fantastic at really learning how to build those relationships and relying on one another. So that's how I got elected. And I started my campaign, and of course COVID hit, and it was a very scary time. I didn't know how I was going to run a campaign, what I was doing. No one could really show me the ropes because we weren't able to communicate in person. So I kind of flew by the seat of my pants with it. And luckily, I did a lot of research with my campaign prior to COVID. I went to council meetings. I got to know that side of Flagstaff. So when I got my campaign going, I kind of knew how to rely on those relationships that I had formed. One interesting story I will say is, having a small business during COVID was a struggle all on its own, but then to run for office, it was like this whole other layer. And one of my mentors, our previous mayor, Coral Evans, was watching me with all the mask mandates and shutting down and how I was running my business, and she really helped me through those times. And it was an amazing journey to go from, you know what, I'm a secure businesswoman, and now I'm going to run for city council. And I just remember Coral just rooting me on, saying, you can do this. And so now I have the two, and I've married the two jobs that I have. And it's quite a beautiful relationship because Flagstaff knows me. They've known me 23 years. I have fought really hard for my business, and now I get to work for the same community in a different capacity. And I'm running for re-election right now, and I can tell you, everyone's like, well, of course you're gonna run again. You're Miranda Sweet. You know, we know you, we trust you. And it's been a hard journey, but a wonderful one at that. So balancing has been hard, but good.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We need more of representatives who are in our communities, in community with us, and our communities recognize them. Really, really important. Thank you for that. Project Manager Keffer,
Yes.
describe.
First, is the lapel mic on or off? Okay.
So you need to, yeah.
Just making sure. I
Yeah.
talk with my hands, so sometimes a mic is an issue as I'm waving it around.
So Councilwoman Sweet, you'll have to pick up the mic when it falls down. See, we have each other's back here. We women always do, right? Describe for us Mesa small business and entrepreneurship initiatives. Whoa, we get to find out. Mesa Business Builder and the Mesa HUUB digital platform for small businesses.
Thank you for inviting me to be here today. I feel super honored as I share the stage with elected officials, and I'm an actual city employee, so there's a little bit of a difference here. Also, shout out to women. Our department is currently a department of 13, and 9 of them are women. That is a huge shift from when I started back in 2012, when I think we had 4 women. So major movement. And our director is a female, Jay O'Donnell, and our deputy director is Maria Loftner. She's obviously also a female. With that, I'm going to rewind a little bit and just go back to COVID. So many of you may not know, but Mesa is the 35th largest city in the nation. We're bigger than Atlanta. We're bigger than Miami. We're bigger than Minneapolis. I usually see faces of shock. We're almost 520,000 people in Mesa. So as part of Metro Phoenix, yes, we're a big piece of that, but we're also big enough on our own to receive our own allotment of federal dollars. So during the CARES Act, the city of Mesa received, I believe it was $90 million. And with that, we decided to do some programming for our small businesses because COVID really put the spotlight on the vulnerability of small business and entrepreneurs during that time. With that, we stood up a grant program. We did $4.5 million in grants to 520 small businesses where we paid their rent or mortgage and their utilities for 3 months. That was like a Band-Aid on an arterial wound. So we also knew that we were going to have to do something to create more resiliency and sustainability for these small businesses moving into the future. With that, we stood up $1 million technical assistance program. In 6 months, we delivered more than $1 million in services to 250 businesses. At the end of the day, that's the setup for where we are now with our small business initiatives and the Mesa Hub platform. We were able to demonstrate at the end of that the results and the appreciation of the community for the services that we provided. Our services are for for-profit businesses that are Mesa-based. Nonprofits do not qualify for these services as there's an entirely separate pool of money for nonprofits. So we now have grown out of the CARES Act. We've grown into a program called Mesa Business Builder. Underneath that umbrella, we have 8 different programs and services. It just continues to grow exponentially each year. It's becoming an animal in and of itself. So council and our leadership decided to go ahead and fund an ongoing technical assistance program, and we have $300,000 from the general fund. The city has taken general fund dollars and put it into funding a program so that we can provide support services to small businesses and entrepreneurs in Mesa. With that, we started with the mesabusinessbuilder.com. That is our overarching kind of a one-stop website that points people in the direction of services, resources, other providers, organizations within the community. We also have our Mesa Business Builder Business Resource Guide, which is now a web-based chapter book, so we can track the traffic to the site and we can see what people are looking at, what we need to enhance, and maybe what isn't so important, and we'll pull that down as well. We also started the Small Business Assistance Program. With that, I've taken in 164 applications since July 3rd just for this program year. 146 businesses are receiving services, and to date, we've done about $196,000 in one-on-one support services to businesses. Of that, 74% are women-owned businesses. Wow. The women are doing a fantastic job at learning about the resources and using them to grow their business. We also started Mesa Business Builder Educates You this year. It's a pilot program where we're paying for tuition and course fees at Mesa Community College for businesses in the Small Business Assistance Program in 17 different certificate programs. With that, I've had 26 businesses take college classes. 84% are women-owned. Yes. So I love to be able to stand up here and share these statistics. I'm super passionate about what I do, and when we know that we're reaching our women-owned businesses and our minority-owned businesses, to me, we're hitting our target as government services. The Mesa Hub platform is an online digital platform that we provide to Mesa businesses for free. The city pays for all of these services. There's a community board, think of it as like a Facebook wall, but for Mesa-based businesses, an events calendar, a grants opportunities page where we go out and crawl and find all of the grant opportunities that get posted on the Mesa Hub for businesses to, identify and, if they so choose, apply for a grant. These can be a lot of private business grants, actually, like from FedEx and Amazon and places like that that most small businesses aren't aware of. Because if you go online, it'll tell you to go to grants.gov, right? These are huge grants that small businesses basically are not going to qualify for. So to send people there is kind of a disservice. So we like to, hone that down and give them access to resources that are really going to matter. I know that I only have 5 minutes, so I'm just going to share that the Mesa Hub now has 828 businesses on it. 53% are women-owned businesses, and 46% are minority-owned businesses. And they're having 24/7 access to all of these resources. Last piece about that, we have a learning library. So every training that we have done that has been a virtual or an online training, we've recorded, and we house it in the learning library. There are more than 100, and it covers everything from business planning and strategy to financial, tax advising, HR, you name it, soup to nuts, pretty much every topic you can think of for businesses.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Mesa, for the work you're doing to support your small businesses. Our second question will start with Mayor Bessett. Share with us a little bit about the business environment in Superior. How does your small business get started in your city, and what's the process? Application, permit, zoning, taxes, etc.
We try to get to yes as often as possible. With a community like Superior, where you're talking about infrastructure and buildings that are aging well over 100 years in some cases, we have to look at safety first, of course. I mean, that's a good investment for any business owner. But, we also have code issues that sometimes say, oh, your parking lot has to be paved. I have city buildings where our parking lots are not paved. So we try to find other unique ways to do that, whether it's old millings from a highway project or something. We've taken the approach of trying to be just, how do we get to yes? How do we help you solve this problem? COVID's another great example. Initially, for our small town, we had to wait for the state to get their money and come back to us. The original state funds, it's like we immediately did 2 rounds of over $100,000 in small business grants. I don't have the percentages on where we're at, like women to male-owned businesses. I would say predominantly most of our businesses are owned by women. And you're talking, I have a flower shop owner, and you've seen her business grow. She is so proud of the fact that she owned a flower shop in Superior when most of the buildings were boarded up. And now she owns the building that she's in. She's incubated that into another small business owner, a woman who has like a New York style deli and has all these really great consignment shops. They're doing what every advice about what rural communities should be doing as far as incubating small businesses. We're trying to do that as rapidly as we possibly can. Our downtown is making a comeback again, shops, boutiques, art galleries, and we talked a little bit about being an elected official and an entrepreneur. My life partner, he owns a vineyard, and the vineyard's not in Superior, but we have a wine tasting shop. And I tell all my fellow mayors and elected officials, go into one of your small businesses in your town and ask to work a shift. Ask to work a weekend shift, especially if you're deriving a lot of your business off of tourism, because you get to be an undercover boss. And it's a unique opportunity for me because I get to sell a really amazing product and have this really fun life. But it's that balance, right? Understanding what our entrepreneurs are going through. So I always think about that when we are making policies. For myself, I own a virtual assistant business, so I do a lot of marketing for small businesses. But I think it's important for electeds to really understand. I think there's a big knowledge gap on what it takes for a small business to run their operation, whether it's zoning and code issues, or it is a matter of, policy. What are we doing that makes this better? What are we doing when we're designing our downtown? And where that's one of our core for business development, when I'm not enforcing people that are just letting their buildings sit there, it's not good for the other businesses. And so you have to use a carrot and a stick approach. I don't have a limitless purse that I can just do all these bigger things that bigger cities can. But how can we do that? How can we communicate better? And I think that's what women in politics, I think, do much differently as we communicate different. We are collaborators. It's much easier for me to bring a bunch of people together and say, okay, we have a problem, we have a challenge, how do we fix this? Let's sit down and have that conversation. And that's how we take all of the approaches, because any business that's coming in, we welcome them, we want them there, and we want them to succeed. But we try to be as upfront as possible with rules because we don't want any surprises on the back end for them.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor Grabowski, can you describe your women-owned business and share how you managed to be a successful women business owner and a council member at the same time?
My whole life, I have either been employed or the kid of self-employed. So that was a great introduction to this whole juggling thing, I got to tell you. At this point in my life, I am retired from what we'll call regular jobs. I'm an independent Sensi consultant, and my husband and I also own a number of residential units that we rent out and one commercial building in Fountain Hills that we rent out. Did this thing just die? No. Okay, thank you. Juggling is really hard. I feel like we just got a new set of council people December 2022, and I feel like it's become even harder. I don't know if it's because politics in general, I can't explain it, but it's become even harder. This is my lifeline. My to-do list is on my calendar, not on my phone, but on my calendar. I have to track every single second of my day. My husband has access to it because half the time I leave the house, he's got a call in the other room. He has no idea where I went. Or actually, we went into executive session in the middle of our council meeting last night. He texted me 3 times during executive session to say, the camera went dead. Are you okay? Are you okay? Because we thought it was going to be a really, I'll call it powerful meeting. So he has access to my calendar. Literally, I will pay this bill on my calendar. So I have everything color coded. If you saw my calendar, it looks like a flippin' rainbow. Everything is color coded. If it's red, I have to be at the event. If it's green, I have to do this. I have things color coded as to-dos. I know this particular color means I have to do it while I am at the NAWBO meeting. I have to talk to this person, or I have to do this particular thing. My entire life is my calendar. If I were to leave my phone behind, I don't even know how the hell I would call you guys to find it so that I could figure out the rest of my day. But literally, juggling is all about, to me, calendar. And it's not the to-do list that Google Keep gives you or that Google Docs gives you. It's actually using the calendar that will link me to the Word document to remind me how many female employees we have, that kind of thing. So it's all about learning the technology and balancing it into my calendar so that I've got quick access to it. I get in my car and I hit calendar and hit directions, and it tells me where to go. I mean, it's literally, thank God for technology. Otherwise, I would not be able to juggle this stuff. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting answer. A lot of us are thinking, oh, I didn't think about that, right? Okay. Congresswoman Sweet, share with us a little bit about the business environment in Flagstaff and how does a small business get started in Flagstaff?
Thank you. So apparently I need to color coordinate my calendar because I was supposed to open up my store yesterday and completely forgot. It's only happened twice in 23 years, and yesterday was one of the days. I was in a meeting and got a text from my employee. So notes from you. Okay, so with Flagstaff, what I will say, we definitely want to get to yes for our small business owners if they want to start. We try so hard to work with them, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot more than when I started. But what I want to touch on more is the Flagstaff community and kind of how we support women-owned businesses. And the one that I really love, and unfortunately I don't get to attend the meetings anymore because I'm so busy, but we have an incubator in Flagstaff, and there's an offshoot called We Mean Business, and they meet monthly. And it's a room like this, and it's women sitting around talking with a guest speaker. Coral Evans was one, and we talk about how to inspire businesses, how to brand yourself, how to do funding, get loans, open up a second location, whatever the case may be. And before I got elected, I would attend those meetings, and I found them so helpful. And it was so nice to be in a room with women who understood the challenges that I'm facing. And it was very open, friendly, honest discussion. And I love that our We Mean Business is part of our incubator. So there's a lot of just fresh ideas. And we talk about, if you want to try this out, you're at the incubator. Let's set you up with some professionals that can help you with this new concept you may have. So that's one. Another one is called the Beauty Boost. And I participated on a panel for them. And it's a bunch of young women, I want to say in their early 20s, who started a group kind of like this. And it's very homegrown. And they're all young women who have an idea. And they want to learn, how do I even start to try and get this to concept? And it's an exciting thing to be part of that and to go and to kind of mentor these young women on what does it take to own a business? How do you start? How do you go to the city? How do you get your permit? And that's a really good offshoot of the business community. The Downtown Business Alliance, I've been in part of that since I opened. And even though it's not women focused, there's a lot of women business owners now in our downtown Flagstaff area, and we all get together. And one thing I can say about women, we do collaborate. We do know how to talk to one another and lean on one another. And all of these organizations that Flagstaff has, and there's a huge list of them, when we get together, it's just a great idea session and collaboration and being with women who understand the challenges that we face. So I'm lucky to be in Flag for that.
Flag is beautiful. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Sweet. Project Manager Keffer, tell us about Mesa Small Business Incubator. You kind of gave us a little hint there, if you can expand. And Launch Point, which we understand you manage and has been very successful. Maybe dig a little deeper into what is Launch Point,
Sure. So Launch Point is the City of Mesa's business incubator. It started in 2013, originally named the Mesa Technology Accelerator, which was located in an antiquated Air Force building that was very well patinaed and didn't even have internet service. And I hired in and said, "You called this a technology accelerator?" Help me, right? So it kind of limped along in the beginning, and that's to putting it, gently. And 2015, I wrote a white paper to relocate it into downtown Mesa. So we relocated to the Mesa Center for Higher Education in the lower level. I will never call it a basement. I always sell it as the lower level. And we have wet and dry lab space, which really is hard to find. It comes at a premium price for the most part in the private sector. So when I say wet labs, I mean fume hoods, sinks, deionized water, and things that a lot of science, material companies, biologic companies need to do their research and development. Dry labs with compressed air, sinks, and things of that nature, as well as office spaces. So moving it in 2015 into downtown Mesa, it kind of slowly grew. We had some very good successes out of it. And I'll just briefly tell you that today we have 17 businesses in the incubator. We are 82% full, and we cover everything from medical device to advanced composite materials, software app development, health and education services within our incubator. I actually have to update the stats you shared earlier because we're now over 50 businesses at launch point. They've raised more than $300 million in capital in total, and they've created more than 350 jobs globally. That includes some of our biggest successes, tongue-tied, Urbix Resources. They are in the graphene industry. They're making advanced materials that actually go in the anode side of EV batteries. I am not a scientist. They have to explain this to me in remedial terms so that I can explain it to other people. Medical devices such as DT Medical Technologies, they actually created a chip that goes in, think brain tumors, glioblastoma. When they excise a tumor, they can't get all the edges on a cancerous tumor. So what they do is they have an implantable device. It's not a cure for cancer, but what it does is it greatly extends the life of people who are suffering from brain tumors, and it gives them a better quality of life. All of these businesses started and grew out of Launch Point. We're very small, but we're mighty by way of the types of businesses that we are growing. With that said, I do want to focus slightly on the difficulty for women-owned businesses when it comes to obtaining venture capital. So venture capital and angel investment. I don't know if you guys are aware, but only 3% of venture and angel capital funds go to women-led businesses. 100% women-led businesses, 3%. That's something that we're working very hard to try to change. 41% of the ventures in the incubator are women-led. So we're very proud of that. And how do we put a spotlight on that? How do we raise awareness? And how do we help these businesses gain better access to capital, do better when it comes to performance with venture capital and angel capital or angel investment? How can we help springboard them and get them the sorts of funding that they're looking for? So lots of things happening in that incubator space. With that, Launch Point and our small business initiatives have been so successful that the city just dedicated another 17,000 square feet of space in downtown Mesa for small businesses. We're building this out now. It will be called Mesa Business Builder at the Studios. It's directly across the street from the main library. We will have a podcast studio, a computer lab, an AR/VR studio, all sorts of collaboration spaces, event spaces, and conference spaces that are accessible to our small business community for free. And these are the types of initiatives that Mesa is pushing to grow and support small business and entrepreneurship in Mesa. And I'm thrilled because I'm super passionate about this work to be able to be here and lead these initiatives.
Kelly, this is not on our list, but I want to ask you to quickly clarify the two types of funding for those who might not be aware, and more importantly, maybe if you mention one or two places where they can go to learn about how to successfully apply for that would be great.
The easiest way for me to explain this generally is, you all know what a Venn diagram is, right? The two kind of circles that may or may not overlap, right? We're talking about the overlapping. So one side we have our entrepreneurs, which generally are businesses that are trying to build a scalable model oftentimes they're looking for capital outside of what we call traditional funding paths or debt financing. Then we have our small businesses in the other circle, which are typically in the debt financing side of the equation. Sometimes they overlap, but a lot of times they're very, very different. So venture capital is actually looking for investors to come into your business and provide financing to you by way of usually taking a piece of your business or partial ownership of your business. Angel investors generally are in what I'll call the seed funding or the smaller investment side of the house. And then as the business grows, they start to seek what we call venture capital. And oftentimes this comes with a stiff price. Many entrepreneurs, their business is their baby and they don't want to give up 30, 40% ownership or more. But it all depends on what exactly are you trying to do. One of our biggest entrepreneurial successes in Mesa is a company called Iveda. They just got $1 billion contract. And the head of Iveda will tell you, I only own 7% of my company, right? And that's because he, in order to grow and to scale, he's taken in that much from investors and had to give away pieces of his business. But yet he's still 100% in charge of his company. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
Kind of
I thought
looking
it
at
would be useful for you all to know there's money out there, but how do you get at it? And there's always a price to pay, And so
yeah, and it's
thank you.
also about finding the right fit. So you're going to have some investors that they're in a certain vertical or they only want to consider maybe biomed companies. And then there's also matching to the level of funding they're willing to provide. So some of them may say, we're only doing 10 million and up. Others may say, we're in the 0 to 500,000 category. So it's about matching the right company to the right funding.
Thank you. Last question. This is going to be really fast, and we're going to start with you, okay?
Yes.
Because I'm sure I'm getting into time issues here. What are the benefits of Arizona being a place for a small business, women business owner? And if there are challenges, you get to answer the two-part question in less than a minute.
Oh, wow. Okay. Benefits. There are a lot of programs and services that are available specifically for women-owned businesses. Do your research, reach out, network, and make your connections because people like me can help direct you to the resources that are available. Challenges, there's still a glass ceiling in place. We all know it. I'll call it out. And I mentioned the difficulty with venture capital and access to capital for women. It's a struggle. It is real, but I think little by little we're making progress in that arena as well.
Thank you, Kelly, so much. Councilwoman Sweet.
Thank you. So I think, traveling around Arizona, what I see a lot of women-owned businesses, a lot of small businesses, and we value that here in Arizona. I don't know if every state is like that, but I can tell you that our small towns, our big cities, we value the small business climate, and we're very lucky to have that. Challenges, as I have stated before, being someone who started in a town that had very little female-owned businesses, I think it still exists. It is hard to get taken seriously, like I mentioned, and to be at the table and invited and to be part of the discussion. So it's kind of always elbowing your way in, but it's worth it. It's worth the challenge. So thank you.
Take away sharp elbows, ladies. Okay, sharp elbows.
To me, one of the big things is make sure you get out there, do as much as you can. NAWBO's a great start. In your particular town or city, you probably have great marketing that you don't know that is available. So go find your marketing groups, whether it be a local NAWBO chapter or maybe in Fountain Hills, we've got Rotary, we've got all that. But then there's also some little small niche things like the chamber sponsors, the Avenue Merchants Association, and then there's little groups inside of each one of those kinds of organizations. So start there, get out there and touch as many people as you can. Don't just talk to your real estate agent about property that's available. Go talk to your local chamber. Go meet with your local economic development director. That's actually how I found my building. Was I was talking to the economic development director. I wasn't even talking to a real estate agent because this building was for sale. he wasn't sure. He was older. He was ready to retire, but he wasn't quite ready to pull the plug until he found the right purchaser. So my advice is go touch everybody you can. Go meet everybody you can. I'm a firm believer in 6 degrees of separation is really only 2, especially in a small town. Thank you.
I agree. I think Arizona is a very unique place for women business owners. And I think because whether it's a small community like Superior or the 35th largest city like Mesa, your municipal elected officials understand that incubation to small businesses is what is going to make their communities thrive. And that's our mission there in Superior. And I think as women, the biggest challenge for all of us right now is really watching our state legislature and some of the policies and procedures that they're putting in place, because there's a lot of laws that are meant to that are distracting all of us from running our businesses. And I think it's important. We're all voters. Get out there and vote. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on in your cities. The number one piece of advice that I received when I was young in my career is that it's the people that you see at the grocery store that can make your laws that are going to change your life the fastest. We can make a rule in Superior that can change your life dramatically. And it could be a good thing, like, hey, we're not going to charge dump fees anymore, so you can clean your yard and clean your house and something simple like that. Or, you can go through a situation where you're raising property taxes or you're doing something like that. So make those relationships, get out there and network, and make sure to vote. Don't forget to vote.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask you all to give them a rousing applause. I hope you're inspired, lessons learned, and do get in touch with them. And I thank you all for inviting the League to help moderate this. And thank you, Marilyn and the President. And with that, it's a wrap.
Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room. Be enthused, but don't look too amused. This is her queendom, please respect her rule.